I have to wait for, there we go, we have actually just gone live. And I do think that StreamYard should change that and give me a countdown so I know I've gone live, because it always catches me unaware. Hi everybody, my name is Claire Kennedy. I'll stop waffling on about going live spontaneously. Yes, so welcome to our Kennedy Street. We call it #Recovery Talks because we believe that the power of the story of recovery is, it really does talk. And what we try and do with this platform, it is part of our charity, which is Kennedy Street CIO. But what we try and do is we try and spread the message of hope, and we invite various guest speakers to come on and talk about their experience, strength and hope, in the hope that you as an audience get some identification, maybe not, or you might just find it really interesting to listen to people talking about their stories of transformation. They're powerful, powerful stories. And both Kev and I believe that visible recovery is critical for people to get well and stay well. You know, there's a lot of talk about addiction out there in the real world, on the news and papers. And recovery doesn't get a lot of press until now. And that's what we're here for. We're here to talk about recovery. And yeah, so I won't go on any further. I could talk for Britain. I will introduce my gorgeous husband, who's nodding his head because he has to live with me and he knows I can talk. And go for it, Kev. You can introduce yourself and then do
Hello, everybody. My name is Kevin Kennedy. For those of you who might be listening on the iPod, what's it called? The
podcast.
Podcast. That's it. As you can see, I'm really down with the kids when it comes to technology. For those of you who are listening on the podcast, I did play Curly Watts in Coronation Street for many years, so you can picture an image of that handsome dude. Plus, we're going back into another lockdown, so it's going to be pretty horrible, but we're here for you. We just want you to get better as much as we can. There are many, I was just talking to one of our guests today, and there are many routes across the swamp, as a doctor once said to me. It's not all AA and Big Book and the rest of it. There are many, 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 many ways. And today we're going to be talking to Dr. Charlie Orton, who is the Chief Exec of Smart Recovery. And if you want to know what Smart Recovery is, well, we're all just about to find out. So over to you, the marvellous Dr. Charlie Orton.
Thank you very much. Wow, what an introduction. You've made my day with that, so thank you. And thank you very much for this opportunity. So like you, we are a charity, a not-for-profit charity, and we are registered in the UK. But SMART stands for Self-Management and Recovery Training. So we are not a recovery centre or a therapeutic type of counselling service. We are all about training you on how to best manage and deal with the thoughts and behaviours that drive whatever addiction you may be struggling with. So the Smart Recovery Programme, it's quite simple. It's a 4-point science-based programme. It was founded back in the 90s in America. The 3 founding countries are now America, UK and Australia. And one of the great things about SMART is it can help pretty much anyone with any type of addiction at any age or stage in their life. So the tools that are used, if you like, in a SMART program are used in like a cycle. So what SMART does is we accept that recovery is not just a linear, straight onwards and upwards kind of journey. There are many twists and turns along the ways and ups and downs, things like that. And the tools can be used at any stage, at any time, and they can be kind of mixed together. And they're very practical things. They're about documenting the costs of what you're doing. They're about looking at your urges, about creating a routine, and about really kind of confronting yourself and your own beliefs about what you're doing in a very sensible and kind of pragmatic sort of fashion. Okay. It's been scientifically validated, and by that what I mean is that there is a good body of evidence of the fact that smart works. And what that means for us is it's really beneficial, especially in the UK, because it means our National Health Service, our NHS, recognises us as a kind of legitimate recovery programme, if you like. Saying that, one of the things I do want to raise awareness of is to access a smart programme, you do not need to go through any kind of healthcare service or referral. You don't need to go through a GP or a counsellor. So it's open access. You can access it yourself. You can refer yourself, and you can essentially drop in to any meeting that we're hosting or running anywhere up and down the country. And obviously, since the pandemic's hit us, we've pivoted all of our meetings online. And that's something that we're still learning about. But what's been really encouraging to see is that even though we've gone online, we're still picking up new participants, and new people are still finding us, and they're still accessing our help. So we have an overarching smart recovery programme, but what we've also got is some very subtle variations on it to address addiction in different types of people, we acknowledge that addictive behaviours can come from all kinds of different sort of background reasons. So we've got a military programme, so we've got a smart programme for either serving military personnel or veterans, and that recognises the unique circumstances in which their issues may have arisen from. We've got a program called Start Smart, which is for teenagers and young people. And again, they have a very different form of behaviours and addictions that drive them and that trouble them. And we've also got our Family and Friends programme. And Angela, who's with us today, helps to deliver our Family and Friends programme. So Graham and Angela are our community coordinators based in Wales. Graham delivers the SMART programme for people who want to be in recovery. Angela facilitates meetings for family and friends, and that very much recognises the help that the family and friends of people who are in recovery need, basically. All of our meetings are facilitated by trained either volunteers or paid staff. Our charity relies mainly on volunteers. We couldn't do this without our volunteer community, and I'm sure you recognise that with Kennedy Street as well. And the final thing, I just want to let everybody know online that if you or a loved one or anybody you know is struggling with an addictive type behaviour, then you can access any of our meetings online via our website or our social media channels. So please do reach out to us if you feel you need any help. We're here for you, and we're fully operational for no matter how long this pandemic lasts and beyond. And that's all I really want to say in that sense. The main thing is to hear from Graham and Angela.
Thank you so much, Charlie. Over to Graham and Angela. You'll have to unmute yourself though, Graham.
Right. Who's going first?
You.
Me. Right then. Sorry. Hello, everybody. My name's Graham. I work along the North Wales coast, which a lot of people know. Prestatyn, Rhyl, Llandudno, Carnarvon, all the way around to Bangor, and Holywell, and as far down as Wrexham as well. So that's my kind of patch. Nothing moves on my patch without me knowing about it, by the way. No. I developed a behavioural problem with alcohol over a generations, I suppose, over 30, 40 years of drinking. And I never thought he had a problem. Don't even think my wife did, really. I just drank a lot until in my later years, and it nearly killed me. I think it might have done twice when I've been, restarted. But I think that, our trip to hell, I think, is pretty much generic. We all go to sort of do the same thing. We develop a habit with alcohol. We use a lot of alcohol. We get addictive desire for alcohol. It goes into an addictive behavior, and then it starts spiraling down, and we end up maybe getting arrested, getting a criminal record, losing your family, your kids, your jobs, and all that. And I think that's a basically generic follow down, right? Everybody has each at levels their own little input, why and who and what and this and that happens. So it's unique to everybody, but the generic cycle is about the same with everybody. Only what I think and what I've seen in my behaviour. Fortunately, somebody intervened with me when I was in A&E, and I don't know, I was out of intensive in A&E, and he signposted me to SMART. I like SMART. It's scientific, it's modern, it's new, it's got great behavioural issues, it's got great philosophies, ideas, and tools, right? And tools and methods and methodologies on how to keep yourself safe, how to cope with the urges, how to live a balanced lifestyle, how to manage your thoughts, feelings, and behaviours. Because that little yin and yang in your head, thoughts, feelings, you'll talk yourself into drinking, and it's how not to do that, or how, if you're doing stuff like that, how you can stop it and cope with it. Yeah. So I was drinking for 40 years. 20 years ago, I decided to stop. It took me 10 years to stop, to learn how to stop. And during that 10 years, I had lapses, relapses. I'd stop for 4 years, start again. But I couldn't quite clinch until I got to SMART what I was doing to myself and who was controlling me. It was my addictive behavior and my brain saying to me, I need alcohol, and I would go and get it. Same as people shopping. You have this thing, the shopping also, and the brain says, I need alcohol, I need nicotine. The battery, like I imagine it, the nicotine battery in the head gets low, and the brain says, go and top it up. So I had to go into the shops, out the shop, in the street, in the pub, out the office buildings, having that fag, instant gratification. Your nicotine level goes woof right up. Your brain's happy. You go back to work, back to shopping, you're quite happy. But again, an hour later, it happens again and again and again and again and again. And it's the same with alcohol and the drugs. The brain needs the alcohol, it needs the drugs, it needs the buzz of gambling, needs the buzz of shoplifting, the buzz of eating, the buzz of sex. The brain demands it because it's an addictive desire. It's seeking. And I think once you start getting into this train of thought and adding the tools, the ideas, the methodologies, and all this together, right, you're on a solid foundation. It's understanding it, and that's where the T comes in with SMART training. I often say in a group meeting or even online, how much training have you had to deal with urges? And people go, well, none. I said, well, how are you going to cope with them? You learn ABCs and maths and all this at school, but we're not taught anything like this. It is coming in now, yes, I agree. But next time you talk to me, who's taught you how to cope with your urges? Nobody. Well, how are you going to cope then? You've got to do some training. It's hard work. Put in to your recovery what you put in to your drinking, and you're a good 90% there. So I do SMART. Angela does friends and family. She started with friends and family because she wanted to know more about what the hell I was going through, how she can help me, how she can help herself as well, and how she can help bring our problems together, right? And don't get me wrong, it's been bloody hard work, and it does work. We still have I still have my ups and downs because I can throw a paddy or a tantrum. I try not to, and they're not often. They're very rare. I'm not perfect. It's self-expectation. But Angela, is yeah, she's perfect. And when she says to me, "Why are you doing that?" I says, "Well, I'm not perfect, am I?" So that's my get out clause. I'm not perfect. But when we can laugh about it, and when we moved house, it's a nice little tale. When we moved house, we relocated from Preston in Lancashire to North Wales, and the amount of bottles we found hidden that I'd hidden in places where you'd never thought of it. I didn't even know I hid them. and we had a laugh counting. He could count the hidden bottles, you know. So it's been good.
Was this when you were moving out of your house, Graham? When you were moving out
from Preston,
and you were packing your things up, you were finding all your bottles. That
Yeah,
you'd
when we were
hidden.
moving from the Blackwall to the Market Tavern. Yeah.
I don't know.
And I thought I'd found them all because I'm like Poirot. I was there. I could sniff them out, but some of them I didn't.
So I'll hand you over to Angela. I hope that's helped people. There is a future. It's great life after addiction. It's fantastic. And having somebody in your family that's studying or going to friends and family meetings, not only to keep herself safe, but also to help me, is absolutely fantastic. Without Angela, I'd be dead. Simple as that. So I'll hand over to Angela.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much, Graham. Yeah, thank you, Angela. I would love to hear from you if you want to tell us a little bit about how smart's helped you.
Right. Going back.
Put your ear to me. You can't go into shots.
Graham's drinking started probably a lot sooner than. Well, it started right at the very beginning of me knowing him. But he was a social drinker. He was the life and soul of everything. He never slurred. He never wobbled. He just, I would say, was a guy that could drink. And I was the very opposite. I'm small and, you know, I'd a couple and I'm all over the place. But it was never a problem, as I thought. As the years sort of went on, I noticed a development that things were getting a little bit out of hand, but even so, it wasn't to the extent where I thought this is really, needs to be taken in hand. And then, excuse me, it sort of happened all of a sudden. His health started to deteriorate. He was classed as diabetic, and I sort of noticed that there was a difference, and it wasn't subtle. It became a real marked difference in his behaviour. He seemed, whereas before he's really a very calm person and a rational person, but he became very irrational. Things that normally would have been taken, on the chin, he would blow it up out of all proportion, and I just couldn't understand where this all was coming from. And also became a very angry person. And unless you live with an angry person, you don't really understand what it's like to go from a very mild-mannered person to this person who's angry at the world, angry at everything round about him. And it started to impact on a relationship and on my health as well. I sort of started to live a life of treading on eggshells, and I sort of hid away from the fact that deep down I knew that the root cause of it was his drinking, was alcohol, because I'd see things, but I put them to the back of my mind. I thought, oh, maybe I'm not seeing it. And if I tackled him, he would totally tell me a lie and say that I didn't see what I saw. So I started to sort of think to myself, it's me. And he then started to say that a lot of stuff that was happening was because of me. And I started to believe it a bit. So my health really did deteriorate and I lost quite a lot of weight. But Graham's health deteriorated even worse. And I hadn't a clue how to sort him. And I did all the things that possibly people who have got someone in recovery does. I was the enabler. It was all to keep a sort of just normality in the home, but normality had gone. There was no normality anymore. Family didn't come. They wouldn't, because they could see, what was happening, and they couldn't understand why I wasn't doing anything about it.
And on to friends and family.
It's very, very bad. So Graham then was doing smart. So I read the booklet and I thought, this is quite good, this. And I was invited to start with Smart Recovery online. I'd already been to a meeting at one of our SMS centres, but I didn't get much out of it because it didn't seem to involve me. It was all about the person that was in recovery. So I thought, what about me? You know, where's the help for me? So when I started on reading about Smart Friends and Family, is the majority of it is about the person, the friend, the family who is experiencing all these awful things and how to move forward and to cope with it. And it was a step-by-step thing, and it helped me because I was able to monitor my own communication, because normally, and I'm sure anyone who has got anybody in recovery, they want to go for the jugular. They want to really rip the head off and say, why are you doing it? If you love me, you wouldn't. But positive communication was step back a little bit, you know, bring it down, talk. Because if you go up here, they'll retaliate and you know, have a go back. And all the tools that I learned, the fact that I had rights, basic Bill of Rights, and that's one of the things that comes up in the Smart Friends and Family Handbook, is a Bill of Rights. And you have, as a person, I had a right to be treated with respect. I had a right to be able to walk out the door and not worry about what was happening when I wasn't there. And sort of it started to make me feel better because I lost my identity totally. Graham was my identity, and I had to get my own identity back, which going through all this, I like to think I have done. So we rolled out Smart Friends and Family face to face. We lived in Preston at the time. It was the best thing I ever did. I met the most amazing people, most of whom I've stayed great friends with, and to see them walk in absolutely despondent, thinking that the world was at an end and they would never smile again, to meetings where we'd have a laugh and think, you know, people would think, what are you laughing about? You've got nothing to laugh about. But yeah, we did, you know, because we had a life as well. So we were allowed to laugh. And, you know, feel at the end of the meetings to say, this was amazing. Can't wait to come back next week. And they did. They came back and came back and came back. And we've had some really positive outcomes. We've also had a couple that weren't quite so positive. But that's the nature of the beast, really. You know, you don't get 100% recovery rate for everybody. But if you can get a few, by, you know, you feel as if you've done something and you've helped somebody. So I'm very passionate about, excuse me, about friends and family. I'm passionate about helping people. And I really hate to think that people are out there thinking that there's nothing for them and there's no way out, because talking and listening and it's just great. And I'll keep on doing it as long as people keep coming. So that's my story.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Angela and Graham and Charlie. I mean, all of you, so inspiring and so interesting. I'm really fascinated, like Kev said. As far as I've been in active recovery myself for 25 years as a family member, so I get a lot of identification with you, Angela. And you don't really know what you don't know, do you? Until you know it, you know. And I didn't realise that way back then, you know. So I really take my hat off to you all, really. I mean, you know, I love the fact that Charlie's involved, and I spoke to Charlie a few times, and the passion that she exudes is fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. And the same from you, Angela, Graham. You can really clearly hear that, you know, the impact that this has had on both of your lives.
Oh yeah.
I think one of the things that has really struck me since I've come to work with Smart is how far-reaching addiction or addictive behaviours actually is, and how really nobody, no matter who you are, what walk of life you're from, nobody is immune to addiction, really. It can come from anywhere and at any point in your life. But so many people think addiction and they automatically think of people who've had a terrible upbringing, who are maybe sleeping on the street, who have got no life whatsoever. And absolutely, there is that section of our population that is in dire straits like that. But the amount of people who are functioning, going to work, high performing, we're talking people that work in banks, leadership positions, all walks of life. And it's really struck me and educated me about the number one, the range of addictions that are out there, but also how this is all the way through society.
Yeah, it's massive. And that's, to be honest, Charlie, that's what's happened with our helpline. Before, I've worked in this sector for 22 years, and I've always been of service in the community, as Kev, you know, helping people find recovery, because it's our passion. And people just come to us because they think we might have a solution for them, which we don't. We've got our own solution, and what we can do is we can share that with people and support them whilst they find their solution. But it's so interesting. Majority of the people I've ever worked with over the years have been functioning alcoholic addicts. And they've not just been, you know, we perceive drug addiction to be the terrible one. I hear it all the time. People say, well, I'm not addicted to, at least I'm not taking heroin and crack. And I say, do you know that alcohol kills more people than crack and heroin combined? You know, it's a massive, massive problem. And like you said, Charlie, it is so far-reaching. Majority of the people that ring our helpline are the family members, you know, and not just drink and drugs. It's everything: gambling, shopping addiction, internet porn. We get so many family members reaching out, just terrified, don't know where to start. They don't know how to help or where to help or if they can help. You know, so it's so important that this is why we're passionate about getting this stuff out there, because people don't know what they don't know. If you don't hear stories like Graham and Angela's, they don't know recovery exists because of the shame and the guilt that surrounds them. You know,
that's it, isn't it? It's the guilt, the shame.
It's what attracted me to Smart, is because I could never, call it denial or whatever, I could never accept to myself that I was an alcoholic, right? I knew I drank too much, and I always admitted I drank too much, but I couldn't say to myself I was an alcoholic because of the stigma attached to that word, alcoholic, and the imaginary stigma. When I got to Smart, I changed that word alcoholic to I've got a behavioural problem with alcohol, right? I've developed a behavioural problem with alcohol, and it shreds all that stigma off you. You know, you don't have to say you're an alcoholic. You can just say, I've got a behavioural problem with alcohol, but it strips that nastiness away from you. That's what I thought. And that's the first thing that triggered my imagination with Smart. Get rid of the stigmas. Yeah.
It's such a problem.
I just want to say, I'd look at your website before, and I noticed that you don't use the words alcoholic or addict or drug addict, which I must admit is a great thing, because I hate some of the words that are used. Like service users, I think, is probably one of the worst words ever. I mean, I've been called a lot of things, a drunk, a drug addict and everything, but I think being called a service user is just derogatory and inhuman, and it's an awful tag. So I'm very impressed with that. And while I'm here, I'd like to say, you know, well done, Graham and Angela, for telling your story, because it takes courage to come on something like this and tell your story. And what I got from that is why we do this is that, as Angela said, when she realized Graham had a problem, she had nowhere to turn. Didn't know where to start. So that's why what we do here and what you do is very important. Now, my function on here, if you like, is to be everyman, is to ask the questions that maybe people who are listening to this or watching this who have no idea about recovery, no idea about SMART or any of the help they can get out there, they'll be asking questions like, I mean, doctor, I mean, will you, if I do SMART, can I still drink or gamble?
Yes, SMART is not a completely abstinence-based program. So you can come into the SMART program at any stage in your recovery, even if you're kind of pre-recovery and you are in the grip, you're in the contemplation kind of phase of thinking that you might, or that you're contemplating wanting to improve your life. So we're not an abstinence-based program. We can help you if you are still using or having these behaviors. And in fact, we encourage people to come onto our program as early as they can in their journey. Graham can tell you about this, but some of our participants aren't even at the stage where they can interact in one of our meetings. They may just come online, microphone and camera off, and just be sat in the background just listening. And that's absolutely fine for us. If you just want to sit and listen because you're not quite ready to take the step into recovery, but you're contemplating it, please come along to our meetings and start to listen and start to build that community of support around you. So the answer is yes. Obviously, we do have etiquettes in our meetings and our house rules. So, you know, don't come to a meeting under the influence type of thing if you can help it. Don't be things like eating, smoking, drinking in a meeting, because that can potentially trigger other people. So there are etiquettes, but yeah, if you still have behavioural or issues with something, absolutely you can join our programme at any time.
Okay, and okay, so what do I do? I mean, how do I get in touch with you? And do I have to have a computer? I mean, can you explain to me what you did pre-pandemic? Yeah. What do I have to do now? And what happens if I haven't got a laptop or a computer?
So pre-pandemic, we relied a huge amount of our network of volunteers and facilitators. We give out leaflets, materials, information, and signposting to what we provide. Since we've done since the pandemic's hit us, we've had to go online. So the way you can access our meetings now is you can, obviously you need a computer to email, but you can email info@smartrecovery.org.uk. You can phone our central office number as well, and we can give that out at the end. If you call us, if you've got access to a phone and you call us, our central office team can either put you in touch with one of our meeting facilitators so you can have a telephone conversation with them and they can talk to you about how you can specifically enter into a meeting, or they can signpost you to one of the online meetings and you click on a link and you join it. So at the moment, you can join using a computer, you can join over the phone. We've moved most of our meetings now to Zoom, so you can call in with that, but you can also enter into some of our support and access our tools through a conversation with our facilitators as well. Something we do need to do though, Kevin, is to try and sort of digitize all of our materials, because what we do want to do is make this accessible via the telephone or other means, and the whole world of digital and media is a bit perplexing to us at the moment. But yeah, pick up the phone, email, anything like that to reach out to us if you can.
All right, and what's the catch? What's the catch? I mean, I've been drinking and I've tried everything. I've been to rehab. It cost a fortune. So, what's it going to cost, right, to do SMART? And basically, I want to know, does it work?
Right. So it's going to cost you nothing. Everything is free. At the point that you need it. So you don't need to book or schedule an appointment. You can drop into any meeting and it's not going to cost you any money. We do have a handbook for people that they can purchase. It looks like this. Get that off our website. They're about £9 and they've got all the philosophy and information in there. The only catch I would say is you get out of it what you put in. So be prepared to organise yourself. Be prepared to start to write down what you're going through, how you feel. be prepared to start to kind of confront your own thoughts and feelings, and be prepared to start to organise your day around using our various tools and documenting things whilst embarking on that journey.
Okay. These tools that you talk about, I need to know what they are, how I use them, and will it get my job and my wife back?
Okay, Graham, I'd like you and Angela to talk to that, please, about the tools, and will it help you get your life, your wife, and everything else back?
Yeah. Just going on how we can also keep in touch with people that need help from SMART is that we've got a mini handbook, 2 types of mini handbooks. I can put them in the post. People call me, I say I'll post them to you. Some handouts, all this. So there is another avenue there. Postage, getting things posted to people, it works, so and also as we said about who can come to meetings, I have people coming from prison that are on murderers that are on day release coming to my face-to-face meetings pre-COVID lockdown. And I would go into prisons and spread the word and distribute and have conferences and everything. So there's another great big loop there, because we do have a prisons format, a prisons program. Right, tools. Right, there's one great tool that I use. Right, within the tools, there's theories, ideas, philosophies, why, what, where, and when. All about proper planning prevents poor performance. All sorts of things are these tools, and they all knit together eventually like a big spider's web. But one that's perfectly done for this COVID lockdown period is a simple tool. It's called Halt the Bads, and HALT, and then the word there and bads. And what it looks at is, when we're in lockdown, we're going to be lonely. We could be hungry. We could be bored. Right? And these things in its own turn could lead to stress, anger, anxiety, depression. Right? So we need to look at why we're in lockdown, look after those things. Let's not be lonely. Let's not be hungry. Let's not be bored, because it's going to cause urges to make us use and want to use, which will cause stress. Stress might cause anger. Anger might cause depression. Depression might cause anxiety. Anxiety might cause stress. It all mixes up together, and it's a very simple tool. Look after yourself, right? Look after your hunger, your boredom, your loneliness, okay? And that leads you then into a balanced lifestyle regime, okay? And that leads you into rational behaviours and irrational behaviours. And that again leads you into an ABC that leads you into a cost-benefit analysis. I know I shouldn't be saying all these because they won't know, but all these tools kind of mould into each other, So you're simply looking after yourself while you're in lockdown, making sure you're warm, not hungry, you've got something to do, hobbies, right? And you're not bored, will help you with all the other ideas as well, and will lead you into hobbies and other things. Jigsaws, doing all sorts. We have a jigsaw out in our room now. So that's just one of a simple tool that you can learn.
Well, what happens? I mean, I don't want anyone to know with the information that I give you. What's the security? Because as you said, murderers and stuff. I don't want anyone to know who I am, and I don't want my wife to know or my employers to know that I'm doing SMART. What kind of?
In the beginning, at SMART, we read out an opening statement, and confidentially is uttermost. It is sacrosanct. Nobody says anything that we said in our meetings, online or otherwise, on the phone or another, to anybody else. So a person could phone Angela or phone me, and it's totally private and confidential. I don't even tell Angela. Yeah. Right? Okay. I can forward them to SMART. I can post them. I've got envelopes here with all stuff in, Just put your name and address, a stamp and a post-it to you. What you do with it is up to you. When we come to face-to-face meetings, we have like a little check-in. Hello, everybody. My name's Billy. I'm an alcoholic, right? And I come to Smart because I'm trying to stop this badness I've got. Finished. That goes no further. He doesn't have to say his name's Billy. When we come to a check-in, he can just say pass. I don't care who his name is, right? Where he lives or what he is or what his job is. It doesn't matter to Smart. It's private and confidential. A lady could come in and say, I'm Lieutenant blah blah blah, Lady Smith from what's that? We're not bothered who you are. It's what you're doing about to keep yourself safe, and that's all what Smart wants to do, is to keep you safe or help to keep you safe.
And if I can go on another point there, some of the meetings that we do, or we were doing before we were locked down, of course, we had, and we sort of do them. Graham will do one, and I'll be in another room doing another. And we have a couple of couples, really, that the husband will come to me and the wife is with Graham, or vice versa. I might have the wife and the husband, and the sort of, when you come out, it really is, you're dying to say, what did they say? And sometimes you think, well, Graham will say, was he all right? And yes, absolutely. But it is, you're trying to, desperate to say, what did she say? What did he say? But it's their lives, isn't it? And the way what they're going through doesn't take for us to start gossiping about them or laughing about what they say, because sometimes it's a bit funny, really. You want to come out and say, guess what he said or what she said.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have to always keep it.
We have safeguards as well. Unless they're going to harm themselves, if they convince me in that meeting they're going to harm themselves, others, or doing something about children and young people, terrorism, money laundering, then if they can convince me that they're going to do it, then I have to report that to the authorities, because it's health and safety and danger. But they're the only reasons why. And I've never had to do it, and I don't think he ever will have to do it. And I've never had arguments in the meetings. I've had drunkards in, and I've said, come in, welcome to come to the meeting, sit down there, don't speak if you don't want to. I don't want you to disrupt the meeting. And it'll say, well, I have to have 3 double vodkas just to get out of the bed in the morning and get into I can't go into the general public without 3 vodkas in me. Some people are like this.
Yeah.
I don't turn them away.
Yeah.
Unless you actually fall through the door, flat on your nose, you're not going to get turned away.
Well, up to now, I mean, I'm pretty sold. I mean, it's secure, it's free, it seems easy to access. So my final question would be, how long is it going to be till I'm better?
Yeah, that's the golden question.
I don't believe that you're ever ill, Kevin. I will never agree that you were ever ill. I'll never agree that you got it from your mum and dad. I'll never agree that it's genetic or passed down. They are influences, right? But I'll never say you were ill. I've stopped drinking. 20 years ago, I was on 3 bottles of vodka a day.
And
the rest. Killing myself. I nearly did kill myself twice. Today, I'm on nothing. What's changed? Right? Have I had surgery? Have I had drugs? Have I had my brain altered? Okay. No. My behaviour with alcohol has changed. I've changed my behaviour with alcohol, and I choose not to do it. I can drink if I want. I've got that right to drink, and I can choose if I want. Okay? Right? And I'll choose when I do, when it comes along. But I choose not to. It's choice. It was my choice. God didn't hit me on the head with a spoon and said, you're better and well. Angela did. Right? A great big wooden one. Right? But, that's my theory. It's scientific. It's gone. I've developed a behaviour over many, many years with alcohol, and I've changed that behaviour. A behaviour can be changed. And if you've got a behaviour, you choose to use it or you choose not to use it. You choose to drink or choose not to drink. Only me makes me pick up that drink and do that. Only me can make me do that. My brain can have a go trying to make me do it, and a brain can make me go, but it's I that do it. Urges don't make me do it. I make myself do it. And that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line.
If you don't mind. So with the 12-step program, there are many suggestions that people make. So I'm trying to think of the audience watching. So, for instance, with the 12-step program, for a newcomer to come along, it's suggested that they attend 90 meetings in 90 days. It's only a suggestion. People sometimes take it up, sometimes they don't. Depends if they've been served a gift of desperation and they're willing to do anything. So do you have, so if I'm coming along to your Smart Recovery meeting, do you have any sort of simple suggestions that you make to people at the very early stages?
Yes,
what would they be, Graham?
Right. What we do, we never diss any other service users or service providers. Sorry, we don't argue that AA is no good. We are. If you're doing AA and it works for you, you stay with it. If it works for you, you do it. And I say to them, if you like having beans in your bath and it keeps you safe, you keep putting beans in your bath. I don't care, long as what you're doing is keeping you safe. But don't blink yourself. Have your eyes open. There's lots of recovery ideas and methodologies, and I will tell them, even though they're not to do with SMART, you know, I'll tell them about AA, NA, and what's the other A? Fans and family.
So many A's.
So many A, But then there's intuitive recovery. Then there's moving on in my recovery. Now, intuitive recovery is 4 days. It's free. You could do that for 4 days. And they have a real guarantee that after 4 days, you'll never drink again. Right, powerful statement. That is true. That is their statement. After 4 days, you will never ever drink again. Right? But then there's moving on in my recovery, which is a 12-week project. So you've got short term, medium term, and then also it all links in with the cognitive behavioral therapies of SMART. Okay, and SMART is longer term. I don't expect people to be coming to SMART meetings for any more than 12 months. Because if you're still coming to a SMART meeting and putting your effort in, after 12 months, you shouldn't need SMART or anybody else. You should try something else. So SMART's not working for you, if you know what I mean.
Can I just say, so I was about to say that in what Graham's saying is absolutely correct as the way he thinks it. My SMART friends and family meeting, one of the girls or the ladies I met who became my very best friend, she came to everyone because her daughter had a terrible addiction to alcohol, and through just coming, she was able to sort of start taking care of herself a little bit and you know, not focusing her whole everything on her daughter's addiction. Unfortunately, she developed, she was only young, in her 50s, she developed brain cancer. But right up until, and she lasted nearly 2 years, and right up to falling so ill that badly that we had to have she went into the hospital and into the hospice, and came to every meeting because her philosophy was, I want to show other people, you know, she wasn't coming for her, she was coming for everybody else in the end. She wanted to show them. Yeah, she was. And it was so powerful because she was actually dying and her daughter was still doing what she was doing and not recognizing the fact that her mother was as sick as she was. But she was there, and a few of them turned up that stayed with us for over a couple of years, and they came to help everybody else that was coming. It wasn't only just, it was for themselves because they got a little bit out of it every time they came, but it was the way they wanted to show everybody else that there was a way out, you know, that there was a way where they could start to feel good about themselves.
Yeah, I think it's...
But essentially, guess what we're saying is, no matter where you are in the journey or how you're affected by addiction, and even if you're in another addiction service, Smart can like run run underneath it or alongside it. So I hear what you say, Graham, in that if you're still coming along to our meetings and struggling with the same things in 12 months, you need to maybe try a different tack. But I think that no matter what recovery program or technique, for want of a better word, you enter into, you can potentially sort of pick and choose which bits of each one work for you. We don't believe that there is just this one size fits all at all. And it's like with any kind of mental health help that you need, you often have to try a few different routes, don't you? You might not chime with a particular counsellor the first time off, and you might find yourself needing to try a few. So that's kind of how we approach it. We see it very much like you. There's an umbrella of addiction services. Underneath is hanging all different methods and techniques and philosophies, and actually it's a really difficult thing to find the right fit.
Well, recovery is like the pubs you used to use, isn't it? I mean, you've tried every single bar that you like, but there's only one that you keep going back to. And I think it's a similar thing in there are so many parallels with drinking and or using or what your addiction is to recovery. My question as well, how many of these meetings do you have to go to a week, and what times are they at? I mean, are they all times? Because I work in the day.
There's evening lessons. I do 4 meetings a week online at the moment. And prior to the shutdown, I did about 5 meetings face to face all over North Wales. I do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Fridays now. It's on, again, I'm afraid, the website. In fact, on the website, there's every meeting in the whole of the UK there on the website. I'm sorry, it's a phone or a website again. I don't think we can't. I have posted out, because this little poster I've got here, pro forma, goes in every one of my little envelopes as well. So they're getting a lot of information, you know.
To be honest, I was going to say, to be honest, we've had amazing results because meetings have gone online. And we've never had a greater success rate because meetings have gone online. There's a whole new demographic, in my opinion, of people that can actually get into recovery because the meetings are in their homes at the moment. And I honestly, I mean, we've had thousands of phone calls over the first lockdown, and I can only imagine we're going to get more phone calls at this lockdown. And the beauty of virtual, like these types of conversations, is you can actually virtually take somebody to a meeting. So that's what I've done. That's what my volunteers do. We virtually assist people to a meeting, and we show them how to use Zoom. We show them how to use the technologies. We're with them alongside, even virtually, you know. We are running out of time. And what I really want to, I'm passionate about gifts in recovery. So what I discovered when I put down drink and drugs and dysfunctional behaviour around my husband, I found out, look at him looking behind him. I found out I had a wealth of gifts. I found out that and Kev's the same, he found out he had an abundance of gifts and interests and sides of our personality that we never really knew existed. So for me, one of my painting. I love painting. You know, I'm not brilliant at it, but I love it. It just sets me free. It's a really mindful activity. You know, I love drawing. I love helping people start business ideas. Really creative thinker. And I didn't know that about myself until I actually stopped drinking. What are so this is aimed at Graham and Angela. And what are some of your gifts? Yeah, come on, Angela. Bring in with gifts.
I can't begin to tell you, gardening. I used to hate, I thought, God, gardening, you know. And all of a sudden, when we were locked down, we would buy packets of seeds. And I have never had as much pleasure in my life as I have watching a bean grow or a courgette develop. And the first thing I do in the morning would be run into the garden to check to see how quickly or how fast or how big it had grown. And the whole garden experience now is just, I just love to see it. I love to keep it tidy. And it was just like, oh, I don't know. It's just like something just something that clicked in my head. And all of a sudden, I'm like, small version of Charlie Dimmock, you know. So, well, wouldn't make any difference really. But yeah, and that I got a great deal of satisfaction out of that for sure.
That's
and jigsaw.
With me, because I'm an ex-engineer and an ex-draftsman type thing, I have this creativeness in me, and that's all gone. But I think about something, and also that I go and write that down and hone it in, and I've done a few of them that Charlie's got, and I just think they're actually, you know, almost just bits of things that I wrote. Charlie thinks they're very nice, and would like to pass them on and use them as you can. But the boredom side of me, I like to keep myself busy. I plan my day as best as I can. After this meeting, I'm going to Hollywood Football Club to drop some stuff off. Angela's made them a pie to give the volunteers a bit to eat. You know, I do all the neighbours' lawns, cut all the lawns for them, all the neighbours round here, and I keep myself.
Made them little boxes.
I keep myself busy. And one of the neighbours had their floorboards taken out. And instead of throwing them in the bin, I recycled them and made all planting boxes for everybody's house, but that's and all that. Tree, you know, for birdies, tables and little birdie houses and nesting boxes. All have this scrap wood.
See, we need to talk, Graham. You're talking about, I straight away say a business idea. I straight away say a business idea that you could create, and you could give opportunities to other people that are like you, that are coming through Smart Recovery to get involved. Activities, creativity and activity, and social innovation. Personally,
you're gonna love this one.
Idea.
You're gonna love this one. I'm also a glass and mirror engraver. You know,
even I didn't know that.
Well, you know, you always keep something back, don't you? Was 100 flute champagne glasses, 100 flutes with the date of the wedding, 2 gold rings locked, right, and the names like Claire or Kevin or C and K, and he did 100 for a wedding and some extra on for a top table.
This is it now. I've been in recovery 22 years, and it's the best thing I've ever done, because your mind just opens up. And if someone is listening to this or watching this and you're struggling and you can't see a future, there is a future. There is, I mean, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. No. But believe me when I tell you that it's a lot better than it was when I was retching and shaking and all the rest of it and the trouble.
Totally.
Different life. And so I want to say, actually, thank you, Graham and Angela, for your little talk today. That was very, very inspiring. And I want to say thank you to Dr. Charlie Orton. Thank you very much.
All right, it's a pleasure.
And Charlie, next time you're in the head office, there's some of my engraved glassware there.
Oh, very good.
Again, Charlie, I think we're onto something here. I can feel a little business idea, engraved mirrors with beautiful daily affirmations on, little hashtag Smart Recovery in the corner. There you go. Nice little business model that could underpin this amazing work that you guys are doing. You know, that's how my mind thinks, you see. Well, thank you all for coming. We've loved having you. We'd love you to come back. I could talk to you forever. I think me and Charlie found that out when we started talking, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And anybody that's listened, or I've said anything that may have upset you or you don't agree with, it's fine. I'm only my opinions. You have your opinions. We're all different human beings. So I've not personally tried to attack or fault everybody. I'm just say it as it is. Sometimes me, I'm known to say it as it is. I don't bully around the bush or out like that. I say it how it is.
The beautiful thing about these talks is it's your truth. you know, my truth is different, your truth is different, everybody's unique. That's why these talks are so important. Every single one of us is unique. I would love you to come back though and talk a little bit more about the children's work that you do. I think that's absolute. I mean, that's an hour in itself. You know, I'd love to talk about the work that you want to do with, or the work that you're doing with children. I think it's critical that kids are supported, and I'd love to know more about the age and this, that, and the other. How old they have to be before they can attend your workshops. So I'd love you to come back.
We would like you to.
Oh, thank you so much for coming. And like I said, we've got all the information. We've shared your information across the screen. Yeah. We've also put it in the chat. And what we do, we really want to encourage people to continue to share this talk. Share it off our Facebook Live page, or you can share it off our Kennedy Street CIO YouTube channel. Just keep resharing it, and hashtag Smart Recovery it, and hashtag Kennedy Street CIO it, and we can get the message out there. These talks get lots of views, and the further afield that we can share this, then the better. If we can help change one person's life, then this hour has been well spent.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much.
Again soon. Lots of love.
Thank you. Hope we can.
Bye bye.